Good evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. I'm Paulo Del Rosario.
And we give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite sports icons and athletes. I'm Boom Gonzalez. And in tonight's game plan, San Miguel BEERMEN'S head coach Leo Austria joins us to discuss his team's campaign in the 2021 PBA playoffs.
We'll also break down the most impressive players of Rebisco Philippines and the ongoing 2021 ABC Asian Men's Club Volleyball Championship. And we'll find out the plans of the Philippine National Volleyball Federation as they serve more in 2022. Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game.
The San Miguel BEERMEN'S have tied things up 2 games apiece in their semifinal series against the TNT Tropang Giga. Following their their Game 4 win, tonight we are joined by none other than the head coach of the BEERMEN'S himself, Coach Leo Austria. Kaya ako nauutal at nabubulol Matagal ko na hindi nakakausap at nakikita si Coach Leo. Congratulations, Coach. We have a lot of things to talk about. It's good to see you and welcome to the show.
Magandang gabi sa iyo, Boom, and ganun din sa iyo, Paulo. And nice to see you, and thank you for having me on.
Coach.
Our pleasure. Go ahead, Pao.
Well, Coach, always great to have you here. And let's go straight to your players, Coach. Kasi a lot of people, there are a lot of storylines going around your players mismo. Let's talk about Junmar Fajardo first. Siyempre, started out the conference a bit slow, but getting there towards the form that we're used to seeing him in. Can you tell us about how he's coming into form dito sa semifinals?
Well, actually, at the start, I'm really worried about him because I don't know yet talagang kung anong situation meron siya. Dahil alam mo naman natin na marami siyang pinagdadaanan.
Tama.
But slowly, nakikita natin, he's getting back to his old form. But he's still very curious and worried sa kanyang mga ginagawa. Dahil for a long time, hindi niya ginagawa ito. But now, nakikita namin, talagang nag-i-improve siya every game. And we're so happy for him. And now, he realizes na talagang he's really important for the team.
Okay, Coach, well, tama. Sinabi mo, slowly he's getting back into form. Buti na lang, marami kang weapons to choose from. Yeah. Diba? At 2 of your top 4 scorers in the series so far are CJ Perez and Motao Tua. Tell us about their play in this series and their impact in the series so far, Coach.
Well, everybody's contributed a lot, dahil sabi nga iba, so pagdating sa bench, napakalalim namin, But still, there are 5 players only at the time, sa court. But the good thing with these players, they know each other, they help each other, and they know their role. And alam naman nila kung anong philosophy namin. And then every player has their own philosophy, but this is the philosophy of the team. So they know what I'm talking about. And of course, we should go to our advantage. As long as na hindi nila nako-contain, let's go through to them. And that's what's happening right now.
Coach, we saw yung leading scorers ng team niyo for this particular series. And you talked about yung roles, especially na CJ Perez and Motao Tua. Can you elaborate on kung ano yung role that you expect of them, ano yung philosophy that you expect of them off the bench?
Yeah, first of all, philosophy namin is, di ba, we have to go to the big man. Okay? So that's why you seldom see Junmar and Motao Tua at the same time. Never started itong dalawang ito. And then usually off the bench namin si Mo and si CJ. And these 2 players could be a starter of any team. But what we want to have is a strong players off the bench. And that's what happened because most of the time, yung second group namin, nagko-contribute almost 50% of the output of the first the starter namin. That's why they know their role. But sometimes it depends. If the players is not healthy, so they will step up. And that's the case. And slowly, they're trying to understand what the role yung kanilang dapat gampanan sa team.
Sabi mo, Coach, you were going to your big man early. Ganun yung nangyari dun sa game number 4. At lalo na dahil nag-foul trouble yung mga big men ng TNT, no? Nung sila Troy at saka si Poy Eram, maaga pa lang na foul trouble na, kaya medyo bumuka yung laro para sa inyo. Okay, pag-usapan naman natin yung small men. Pwede ba natin sabihin? Smaller men.
Oh, yeah, the smaller guys, malaki din sila.
Yes, kasi nabanggit na natin yung tatlo dun sa 4 na leading scorer. Yung isa naman, Terrence Romeo. Alam naman natin kung gaano kabigat yung pangalan na yan, gaano kabigat yung player na yan. Ang daming binabato, Coach Leo, kay Terrence pagdating sa mga nagdi-defend sa kanya. What can you say about the many defenders that are being thrown at Terrence Romeo, and how is Terrence playing in this series for you?
Yeah, first of all, I'm happy, so happy with Terrence dahil he's a big threat every time he's on the court. And ito ang nagbibigay ng maraming threat dito sa kalaban namin. Especially we have Junmar inside and Terrence outside. So they don't know what to expect from us. And that's one thing na ginagamit namin sa kanila. If our big man will not play well, so we have somebody to go to, especially ito si Terrence, na he could create, especially nung game 2 namin. So when we were down by 19 points and then all of a sudden, Terrence step up big. We did not go to the post at the time, but with the likes of Terrence and CJ, so they could bring the team up there. But what I told him before, so it's not your game, it's not everyone's game, but it is a collective game. So you should think of the team first, not yourself. And that's what's happening. And then slowly, they're realizing na talaga we have to help each other.
Yeah. Coach, talking a bit about Terrence, you mentioned that he's playing for the team, but then a lot of people are also noticing the fact that napaka-komportable siya with the San Miguel system. We see him now doing all those street ball crossovers, mga behind the back niya that are all over the highlight reels. Can you talk about yung comfort level ni Terrence Romeo sa sistema ng San Miguel and how that's showing off dito sa semifinals?
Yeah, I think he's very comfortable with us because there's a lot of players who could step up, who could contribute in scoring. Because if they double Terrence or stop him, somebody will help him to produce points. And that's what's happening. So unlike before, when he's the other team, so he wants to bring that team on his shoulder. Talagang ginagamit niya yun. But umi-score siya, I think, twice or 3 times na scoring champion. But there's no championship. But in this team, so he could contribute 18 or 20 points, not 30, but still winning. And that's what I'm trying to point out to those players. This is a team na everybody you could rely on. So it's not your game. It's the game of our team.
That's the luxury of Coach Leo to have all these weapons. Okay, opensa na pag-usapan natin. Pag-usapan natin depensa mabilis, Coach Leo. Chris Ross playing Mikey Williams and playing him very well. Getting his point output down a bit. Well, not actually a bit. That's a good 6 to 7 points already compared to the eliminations on Mikey Williams. Can you please talk about Chris Ross in this series?
Well, we all know that Chris Ross is one, if not one of the best defender dito sa mga guards. And it happens so many times since winning the first championship. And we all know that Mikey is the one who's making a big impact, contributing a lot with the success of talk and text.
Yeah.
And by limiting him on his scoring or distributing the ball, so I think we have a good chance of beating his team. And that's what happened. And Chris Ross, when it comes to game, so he wants to defend or limit those players who could give a big impact to their team. And that's Mikey. And that's what's happening. But I told him na you cannot zero him or you cannot stop him all the time, but you need help from your teammate. And that's what's happening. It's not only Chris Ross who's stopping him. It's the whole team. And I'm happy because there's a lot of game in our 4 games, 3 of them yata, he was able to limit his scoring. But I told him that if he's not scoring, he's still a big impact because there's so many things he could do. He could do in the team, probably on assist or directing the team, and that's big for a point guard.
Yeah. Coach, you have so many game winners on your team. Alex Sabagnot, Marshall Laster hit game winners very recently. And then, don't forget, you have an Arwin Santos, you have a Junmar Fajardo. You have so many players to choose from in terms of game winners. Coach, how do you pick? How do you pick which player to go to? Kasi grabe, kapag last possession na, napakahirap yung choices mo.
Actually, that's the one of my problem. But it's a good problem because if you have Terrence, if you have CJ, and if you have Mo, plus the core namin, yung first five namin, so you don't know kung kanino ka pupunta But sometimes I'm relying on the experience of the team, which is yung lima ko, yung core namin, doon ako pupunta. And it depends on the situation If we need 3, so why go to Junmar? If we need 2 or 1, so let's go to Junmar. If we need an isolation, we have Terrence. If we need a long shot, so Arwin is there and Marshall Lassiter is also there. So there's so many, it's a matter of knowing the roles of every player.
Yeah.
And the good thing with this team, they understand the situation and they understand the role of the player. Alam nila kung anong kailangan namin.
Coach, it's always great talking to you and we are really excited to see how this series turns out. Kasi grabe talaga. It's either really close games or just an extreme display of talent from either side. Coach, thank you very much and good luck in the rest of the series.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Boom. Thank you, Paolo. And ingat pa rin tayo.
Salamat, good luck.
Salamat, Coach. All right, after the break, we'll break down the most impressive players of Rebisco Philippines in the ongoing 2021 ABC Asian Men's Club Volleyball Championship. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. Welcome back to the game. The Rebisco Philippines men's team are now a couple of games into the ABC Asian Men's Club Volleyball Championship, and a few names have begun to stand out with their performances. Now, joining us to name his picks for most impressive players on the team so far in the tournament is the game volleyball analyst Neil Flores, who is actually watching the game as it's going, because the game is ongoing right now. And grabe, before we continue, Neil, your impressions of what's happening at the moment.
At the moment, it's a very long game. It's a highly contested one. We are up by 2-1, and hopefully we can end this in the 4th frame para maiwasan pa natin to force a decider yung Diamond Food.
Grabe. You know, but mahirap yan kasi boom, who's the analyst of the game right now?
Pag nandyan si Carmela Tunay, ang isa nating kaibigan at isa nating teammate, delikado, baka mag 5 sets. But, as Neil said, hoping for a 4-set win, as right now it's 16-11 in the 3rd set. And the Thai team is ahead 16-11, pero we are ahead 2-1. All right, Neil, your impressions, notwithstanding this game. Well, actually, sama mo na itong laro na to na napakaganda ng linalaro natin. General impressions of the team performance so far in the tournament.
When we discussed the preview of the men's game, the big question was, sino papalit dun sa mga main scorers natin? How actually stated yung hashtag natin before, which was Babe, Bagunas, Abdilia and Espejo. Pero ngayon, I'll just borrow this from someone I saw on social media. Magta-transition na tayo to the Ube period. Ito na yung ultimate bonding experience with Umandal, Bagunas, and Espejo.
Okay.
Joshua Umandal has been the main scorer talaga for Rebisco Philippines, and kahit na bata pa siya, you can see the confidence and the eagerness of this kid to go up against stronger opponents in the region.
Yeah, you know, you mentioned he was actually the first player that you want to mention, si Umandal, and I like that, Ube. I can roll with that completely. Let's go on to your second player that you wanted to mention, and that is Josh Retomar, the setter. They are really impressing everyone all over the Philippines. Can you tell us a bit about him?
Yeah, Joshua Retamar, we don't really see setters rack up points, pero sobrang sanay na siya sa sistema ni Coach Dante. And I always believe that the setters are the heart of a team kasi lahat ng plays dumadaan sa kanila. They actually glue all the three touches together, and as setters, ang dami nilang kailangan pag-isipan. Yung isolation setting ni Retamar to his spikers is very effective so far in this AVC men's tournament.
Well, speaking of setters, Neil, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't get to start the match today, but was Ish the one who started today? And I did watch the end of the first set and the second set. And right now, me and Pao are monitoring the third and the fourth set. Ish Polvorosa has been playing also today very well. Your thoughts on him, the legend, and his contributions, of course, to the national team and, of course, this particular team?
For Ish Polvorosa naman, I don't think he started a while ago.
Okay.
Pero nangyayari kasi sa diskarte ni Coach Dante, palitan sila. So it depends dun sa takbo ng depensa ng kalaban. He needs a faster type of gameplay. He would field in Ish Polvorosa. And sobrang ganda kasi ng court sense ni Ish. Na hindi lang yung blockers yung titingnan niya. Even the defenders at the back, titingnan niya yan before he sets up his own play. Kaya maganda yung complement ng Retamar and Polvorosa sa national team natin.
Well, the setters are very important in terms of how the team plays as a whole. And we've had discussions about this in the past that mas modern yung laro ng men's team ngayon compared to what happened before. How does Ish and how does Josh really factor into this style of play that we're seeing right now at the moment?
I think part of yung contributions nila is yung spikers nila right now, hindi na bago sa kanila. They were their teammates in the club teams and in their universities. So the gelling or the connection between the setter and the spikers wasn't a big issue for both of these setters. Kaya ang ganda lang ng nagiging tandem. And kung sino man yung ipasok ni Coach Dante, really provides quality minutes for the national team. That's why right now we're up against a strong team in Thailand also.
Right now, we're down by 4 in the fourth set, but up 2-1 as we go on here. I know you have another couple of players that you wanted to talk about, Neil. Who is that other player, that the fifth in this conversation that you wanted to talk about, or fourth, rather?
Yeah, this is the fourth. I chose Manuel Sumanggid, one of our new liberos, one of the new additions for the national team. Kasi he really understood the assignment as the libero competing in this level of tournament. You have to be able to bring that stability and consistency when it comes to first ball passing. Pagdating sa international, you really have na maging accurate sa height ng bola, sa distansya ng net, so that you can give that allowance of time for your setter to make better decisions in choosing the point of attack for Rebisco.
We also have a bonus player that you mentioned, a player to watch out for, and that is Nico Almendras, the wing spiker making senior debut for Rebisco. What's so special about him, and what's the ceiling for this guy?
Isa ba to si Nico Almendras? Bata rin to ni Coach Dante. In that game against Uzbekistan, he scored 14 points alongside the 19 points of Joshua Umandal. Although hindi siya naglaro nitong previous game that I covered kasi balita ko he's nursing a strain somewhere in his body. Parang may muscle strain ata based dun sa nakita ko kay Ricky Marcos. But I'm just looking forward na babuo yung men's team natin kasi kung ganito yung nilalaro natin na meron pa tayong missing pieces, you can just imagine, Pau and Boom, kung ano yung magiging performance natin once we have a complete roster.
Yeah, I was wondering about that because after that 14-point performance, hindi siya naglaro kapon. So yun pala yung issue. Okay, as a last wrap-up, now that we're in the middle of this match and we have a chance to win this one that's going on right now, Neil, in terms of us in Thailand, we're right there. Am I right to say that? Because in terms of the men's competition, they are lacking a couple of players from the national team in this lineup. We are lacking a couple of players, big players also. Are we right there with them?
Right out there, I would say yes, we are right with them. We were able to make quick adjustments from our loss yesterday. Kung mapapansin nyo dun sa game, we are registering more block points. And we are receiving better and nabawasan din natin kahit papano yung mga service errors natin. So, we are at the same level with Thailand. We just have to be composed and to end the game properly kasi iba pa rin pag may panapos yung players .
All right. Well, right now, Pa, we're down 4 here in the fourth set, but we're Up 2-1, we're hoping we can make a comeback. Or if it goes to 5, we wrap this one in 5 and get our first win in this tournament. Neil, maraming salamat and good luck sa atin.
Thank you.
That's Neil Flores joining us. And when we return, we'll find out the plans of the Philippine National Volleyball Federation as they serve more in 2022 with PNVF President Tats Suzara. Keep it here. You're still watching The Game.
All right, now being joined by one of the key decision makers when it comes to Philippine volleyball. Of course, we have here Sir Tats Suzara here with us too. Sir Tats, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thank you, Paulo, for inviting me in your show. This is also an opportunity for us in the PNVF and myself as the president. We're just 8 months old, you know. We were just elected in end of January, so it's still very early to start this type of activities for a new federation. No?
This is the first national team pool that you have come up with. Looking at the processes of building up to it, and now that tapos na yung women's competitions natin, what are your key takeaways from the entire process, from the beginning to where we're at right now?
Before I answer your question, first of all, I'd like to again thank our two national teams, Rebisco and Chocomucho, for doing their their participation, and this is their first international competition after 2 years of rest of the pandemic. So I'd like to congratulate them. I was elected president of the Philippine National Volleyball Federation. I announced a 10-point strategy of the federation, and the national team is one of the important aspect of the strategy, because if you don't have a good national team, then it doesn't look good in the federation. The national team is the face of the national federation, and it is important that we need to start something. And the national team now, especially the women's national team that participated in CORAT now, we are now part of the FIVB national team project platform. This, for the next 4 years, our women's team will undergo a lot of activities and training, since this was a request that I made since we didn't get a medal for the last 3 SEA Games. Our men, fortunately, got a silver medal, and our women needs to have a medal. Our beach volleyball had a bronze medal in the SEA Games, both men and women. So we need to really change the, as I call it, the landscape of volleyball for Philippine volleyball at this time. Maraming nagtataka, bakit dalawang national team pinadala? Because from the beginning, it was only one team that we will send, and we have a pool of 20. But the PVL was supposed to send the winner of the PVL tournament to be the second team. But unfortunately, not one of the teams would like to go to Thailand because they're afraid of the COVID in Thailand. So we decided to send another team since we have 20 players in the pool. So we just added 4 more players to make it 2. And the request of the Asian Volleyball Confederation is to really send 2 teams, because Thailand has 2 teams, Kazakhstan has 2 teams, only Iran has 1 team, just to make sure that the championship will push through, because if less than 7, magiging 6 na, hindi na matutuloy ang tournament. So nakiusap sila, and ako naman, they will be a very good as this exposure for our players, since they were away for 2 years. And this is just the start. This is the beginning of our program.
Well, sir, you touched on the men's team a bit, so let's talk a bit about them. What are your thoughts on their program, and what do we have on the pipeline for them as they get ready to take on some of Asia's best in Thailand again?
Yeah, I have high hopes for our men's national team. Although it's very difficult to get really tall players because most of the tall players goes to basketball. But I spoke to our coaches, Coach Dante to recruit more tall players from the provinces. So after this Asian Men's Club Championship, I have asked all our national coaches to go to the provinces, start recruiting, talent identification. Those are really willing to come to Manila for the national team and train them. That's number one. Number two, as I mentioned, change the landscape of Philippine volleyball. Next year, we're bringing a Volleyball Nations League here. Hopefully that our request to bid will be approved by FIVB. This is part of the program. I want to show to our Filipino audience what men's volleyball is. If you see, we're in Tokyo, the men's volleyball competition is really highly competitive. It's more exciting than the women, you know. And you have world-class teams like Italy, Russia, USA. So we're bringing the Volleyball Nations League here. It's the top 16 teams in the world, but only the 8 teams will come here from June 20 to 26 next year. So that we will show to the Filipino audience that it's not only women's volleyball who is really very popular in the world, but also the men's volleyball. So this will all, again, push the program also of our men's volleyball. I want to have a balance of women's and men's volleyball now. Not like before because of the popularity of the women's, naka-focus on. But now it has to be balanced. We should give equal footage of training and exposure to our men's and women's national team. That includes also beach volleyball, men and women.
It's still a stacked calendar towards the end of this year. So before we move on to 2022, wag muna tayo masyadong advance mag-isip. What's happening towards the end of the year, and then what we have to look forward to in 2022?
After the Asian Women's and Men's Club Championship, there will be a rest for our national team players. But yesterday we had a meeting with the Champions League women's participating teams. We will launch the first national league. This is called the Champions League. There will be 6 women's team that will participate in this national league, the Champions League, from November 13 to 20. Followed by the men from November 13 to 19, and then November 20 to 26 will be the men's championship. So there has never been a national league by the federation from the previous one. So this will now be an official national league, which other countries are doing to have a national league. So we are doing this to launch this, start with the 6 to 8 teams for men and women. And then after the Champions League for men and women, we will have the first National Beach Volleyball Championship for men and women. This is under the leadership of our Beach Volleyball Commission chairwoman, Charles Soriano. This will be held in Pagudpod. These are the top 16 men and 16 women's team beach volleyball teams nationwide. So the target of the objective of the Champions League is to focus more on the provincial teams, not the Metro Manila teams. We have teams from Baguio, from Negros, from Davao, from Zamboanga. So this is the main focus, that it will really be called a national league.
For the moment, that is all. Thank you very much for joining us. I know we're going to talk to you again soon, and hopefully we'll be discussing more tournaments and hopefully more successes from the PNVF, our national teams, and all of the endeavors moving forward. Thank you very much, Sir Tats.
Yeah, thank you.